Yo! Welcome into today's video, which is going to be something a little bit different. Types of survivors in DBD. Alright, now first up, we've got what I like to call Team Toxic. Okay, now these players always try to frustrate the killer as much as possible. You know, they love those good sort of teabag plays, usually bring a flashlight. You know, don't usually do a lot of gens. These types of players usually tend to aim towards Nias and Lorries. Now, these players will usually try and wear the most bright cosmetics known in DBD so that they can look like an absolute lighthouse and try and grab the killer's attention. Just know that whenever the killer knocks anybody down, you've definitely got Lori or Nia just waiting around the corner with that cheeky beamer save. Now, a common perk build which consists of these players are something like Decisive Strike, Unbreakable, Dead Hard, Borrowed Time as well. Anything to really mess up the killer and kind of cause a lot of anger. And accompanied by this with a lot of flashlight clicking. And next up, we have the Sneaky Squad. Prestige 3 Claudettes so that they can blend in as much as possible and absolutely hide at any given chance, like a chameleon on a wall. Or these players usually tend to prefer to play Dwight. You usually will find a lot of these players crouching around majority of the map or absolutely petrified and jumping into lockers anytime they hear a heartbeat. Spine Chill is another great perk that these players love to use so that they can just tell when the kill is coming near them because they want to avoid them, again, at all costs. In the minds of these players, surviving is the ultimate win and they will do everything they can, even if that means leaving you on the hook. They will do that. And next up, we have Team Chad. These boys are incredibly confident at DBD. The Chad squad is usually between David or Ace players. Now, usually they're full of confidence, always, you know, trying to run around the kill, always going for these saves and stuff like that. But they usually fail drastically due to them just being, one, very predictable, and also two, way too confident for their skill set. Unfortunately for these bad boys, they usually think they're a lot better than what they are. These Chads only use the ultimate meta perks, such as stuff like Dead Hard, Adrenaline, Unbreakable, DS. Now, these types of gamers are usually the lads in the Facebook Messenger group chat, usually waffling on about how they picked up some girl, followed by possibly shouting at their mother from time to time. In their minds, they are the ultimate gamer. And next up, we've got the Gen Jockeys. Now, these players usually love to go for Megs or Dwights. And you will find these players often running Prove Thyself with toolboxes, with amazing add-ons to bang these generators out as quickly as possible. Now, these Gen Jockeys are drawn to a generator like a moth drawn to a light bulb. And popping a generator is something that they find extremely rewarding. These players are usually pretty awful in chases, however, due to their lack of experience in the chasing field. Often at times, these guys will prioritize the generator over going for somebody on the hook. These guys usually either have a sort of engineering degree at college or are just downright petrified of the killer, so they just want to get out of the game as quickly as possible. Following on from that one, the runners. Now, these players are usually Fangs or Nias, and these guys are absolutely crazy good at looping. These players usually have all the meta chase perks to help them out in chases, and at the start of the match, they will ignore all the generators and run directly toward the killer. Their aim of the game is to loop the killer and try and distract them as much as possible. Now, these guys are extremely good at chases, but you will never see them do a generator. Often at times, if you yourself are in a chase with the killer, always be sure that a runner is there just about a few meters behind them, just there for, I don't know, emotional support, or they're trying to get the flashlight save. I'm not too sure what, but this can become quite annoying when you need the generators to be done and this guy's just following him around like some sort of professor and his apprentice. You can always find the runners in a Survive with Friends, usually on Discord or something with communications, and this player feels extremely upset when the killer doesn't chase them and they feel a bit isolated and left out. After that one, we've got how I like to call the pallet pussies. Now, these players absolutely love pallets. These players are usually Megs or Dwights yet again, as they are the beginner level players, and these guys will use every single pallet on the map. These players do not know how to use their joystick on their controller or use their mouse to reverse the camera in a chase to see where the killer is going. They will just run straight. They will hold W or forward on your controller and they will just keep running straight into oblivion. If your team usually suffer toward the end of the game because there's no pallets, you can look toward your local Meg or Dwight for that problem. These guys do not know how to do well in chases, and the pallet is their only safety. Also, you can definitely count on Meg or Dwight for using the God pallet in a chase at the start of the game. After that, we got the corner crew. Now, these guys are usually self-care gamers, so these guys are usually Claudettes, Megs, or anyone relatively new to the game. And these guys, as soon as they're injured, will socially distance themselves and isolate themselves away from civilization and set up camp in the corners of the map as far away from everything as possible. These players usually tend to think that that is their safe haven and that the killer will just never go near that area of the map. Now, these players usually never run Iron Will, so that they're moaning a lot and groaning because they're injured, and the killer will just simply go toward that area, hear some sort of poor Meg or Claudette whining in the corner, and they'll go down because they're not near any nice loops or pallets. You can always count on these players to be self-caring after every single hit in the corner of the map and refusing to go for any sort of unhooks or do any generators when they're injured. They are petrified every time they get hit. We've all seen these players, and I'm looking at you, self-care gamers. And last but certainly not least, we've got the altruistic angel himself, and I'm looking at Bill. This 60-year-old man has got the body of a 20-year-old and is in peak condition due to his military training back in the day. This man dedicates himself to be getting the most altruistic saves known to mankind. This player will put everything on the line to get these altruistic saves. No sacrifice is too big. This guy does not care if they go down. They are going in for the save. This guy usually has borrowed time and is an absolute altruistic legend. This guy leaves no player behind. Many times you're put in a situation when you're on the hook, almost dead, and you see this absolute guardian angel sprinting at you from across the map, looking like some sort of superhero out of Die Hard. The big downside to this is that this guy does tend to go for every single unhook in the game due to him just loving altruism. So I'm sorry if you guys want to get any altruism points, because you're not getting any, because Bill over here has got different plans. They're usually not the best in chases. This guy is truly an absolute swift and Dead by Daylight legend. Okay guys, be sure to let us know what team you guys are in and what type of player you guys are, because we all know some of these players and have come across some of these players in Dead by Daylight. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.